It's time now for Media Watch. Welcome back. I'm joined by James Creedon here in the studio. Hello, James.
Tom, how are you?
Very well indeed. Now, Twitter has been around for 7 years. That's a very long time, isn't it? It's longer than I'd thought.
Yes.
And increasingly, it's used not just by people who want to natter with their friends, I suppose, or tweet with their friends, but also by rather more serious users like politicians and us journalists, especially here in France.
That's right. And this was an article I found today, Tom, on socialmedia.fr, a good place to go for news on social media.
Sounds like the best place.
Now, what they have come up with is statistics, and I will try to find them amongst my many sheets here. Twitter's been around for 7 years. 200 million users. That's half the number of users on Sina Weibo in China, by the way, 400 million users, and that's just in China. So that's putting things in perspective, I suppose. 5.5 million users in France, making it the 7th biggest country to use the social network. Now, what age group would you say is the majority age group that uses Twitter? Would it be young people or middle-aged people or elderly people?
I would guess it's probably people in their teens, is it?
Well, that's what most people would have guessed, except, and that was true actually until this year rather, there was a 100% increase in the past 12 months in France in users in the 55 plus age group, which basically means that decision makers, journalists, politicians, they all realised, or at least a lot of them realised in the last 12 months, okay, Twitter, we better get started on that. That seems to be where things are happening, quote unquote. So there you go. It's a surprising statistic indeed that there was a 100% increase in that. And it seems to be a particularly French phenomenon. So there you go. And a lot of it would lead certain analysts to say that Twitter is now becoming a place for a lot of hot air, public communications, marketing people are on it, journalists,
and the odd
politicians.
rant, perhaps by an angry senior citizen.
Right, but less so a place where you have personal observations as you might have on, say, Facebook. Now, more statistics. Do you know that 181,000 people on Twitter refer to themselves as social media gurus? So again, this is an example of Twitter being full of a lot of people, in any case, who seem to have very high opinions of their social media credentials. So there you go. You have also the breakdown is there. So 20,000 people describe themselves as social media evangelists. Anyway, we'll move on, Tom, because we're running out of time. But I want to talk to you about one politician who is indeed on Twitter and who made a bit of an error today. It seems like she sat on her iPhone or her BlackBerry and came out with a rather uninteresting
photo
or fascinating tweet, depending on how you want to look at it.
Maybe it's in code.
That's it. That's what some people were saying. Is she trying to tell us something? Said Salome Legrand. Another person said, "Oh, she's trying to sing us a song." Taboo do 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 do. And one person put it into Google Translate in Turkish and said, "This is what she's trying to tell us." Let's have a listen. Which sounds like suffer, right? Is she telling us to suffer? I don't know. That person thought she was saying something else. And here, some other person saying that she's actually talking about the policies of the UMP party. In other words, a lot of rubbish, according to that person. And here you have a Valérie Pécresse tweet generator. So you can put in all sorts of different tweets. You can see there that they're changing. Yes. Very useful website, worth checking out.
Someone had a bit of spare time on their hands during the course of today.
A little bit.
Now, our former French... we're actually going to talk about a French politician who's been making use of Twitter today.
That's or Gerard Depardieu.
Or Gerard Depardieu, depending on who's just moved to Russia. Of course, right. He's their newest recruit. What's he been up to?
All right, well, he's getting lots of job offers. The Russians seem to be very excited about Gerard being in town. Now, he was already offered the Culture Ministry of Mordovia. I think he seems to have turned that down. That's the state where he was. Now he's been offered a job in a theatre in Siberia for €400 a month. So that's on a CDD, French term for sort of, medium-term, short-term contract. So not sure if Gerard is interested in that. He might be.
Well, at least he wouldn't have to pay a huge amount of tax on that, I guess, I'm assuming.
There's that advantage. Right.
Great. Do we have time for anything else? I think we probably don't, do we?
Well, I could tell you about journalists being very likely to be psychopaths, if you want to hear about that very briefly. This is from a book that is recently came out, The Wisdom of Psychopaths, and it has a list of 10 occupations likely to attract psychopaths: CEOs, lawyers, media people coming in at number 3, and journalists again coming in at number 6. But you also have clergy and police officers. So
if you're in the media and you're a journalist, that definitely puts you at the top, doesn't it? That's us.
But 10 professions unlikely to attract psychopaths. Charity workers and nurses. So if you're a charity worker, you're unlikely to be a psychopath.
Maybe we should all do a bit of charity in our spare time.
Right.
Balance it out. Thank you
That's
very
it.
much
Thanks,
indeed,
Tom.
James Creedon. That was Media Watch.